As of Tuesday this week, Victoria changed forever, and the man who could have saved the state instead fed it to the dogs. The man with the fortunes of every Victorian in his hands betrayed Victorians. Rod Barton has turned out to be anything but a hero. Instead, he will be remembered as a Judas, a sober, unassuming assassin skilled in the art of feigning care while knifing Victorians at the same time, claiming it's good for them. Barton is a man looking for relevance, and he's achieved that dream. He greenlit Dan Andrews' pandemic bill and betrayed Victoria. And because of his sellout, Australia is also up for grabs. In recent weeks, The Informer has editorialised about the lack of integrity, trust and faith that exists in politics and politicians. If there was a shred of trust remaining that should have been salvaged where politicians are seen as working in the interest of voters, that was lost with Barton. Barton's constituents voted for him to serve their interests, not his, and it is impossible for Barton to justify what he has done is in their best interests. None of the voters who voted for the independents voted to have their rights and freedoms sold out by them. And they have been. And for what? Not their interests, but for self-interest. Credibility and integrity should be prerequisites before entering office. They should be non-negotiable covenants between elected members and voters. Instead, it's a transactional commodity. A commodity served to trick and to fool as opposed to traits on it. Rationalising betrayal is impossible. Barton's grandstanding about the evil intent of the bill and its divisive social destructiveness can be seen as posturing and nothing more. Barton wasn't motivated by doing what was right for his constituents' interest because he didn't. By passing the bill, he failed them. He failed Victorians, he failed Victoria, and he failed Australia. Rod Barton was the final frontier that stood between democracy and tyranny, but he allowed tyranny and its trappings to consume and to woo him, and it did so with great vengeance. Whatever deals Barton did, it seems he wanted much of the trappings that came with the sellout and betrayal as what was offered to his fellow independents. On Monday, The Informer reached out to Rod Barton to come on for an interview to discuss the bill. Barton flatly refused, our executive producer, advising the bill in its current form was dead, and to quote Barton, it's still got a long way to go. Well, Barton lied. The bill didn't have a long way to go. He had done the deal to betray Victorians. To highlight just how the insane are running the asylum in Victoria, Ratnam yesterday put forward a bill to declare protest organisers and anybody attending the protest as right-wing extremists, and the Andrews government are sanctioning it. That's a clear attack on democracy and the demonisation of Victorians to have their voice. This sort of madness is a precursor to what Victorians can expect and how their lives will be manipulated and controlled. A taste of destruction of everybody's liberties and freedoms, and the now very real and dangerous environment that Victorians will live in. Victoria will be a state where its own Premier can take the gloves off any time he likes and enforce laws that may not exist, go unchallenged, have unbridled powers, and no one will be able to hold him to account. If that doesn't frighten Victorians, then it should. And if there are Victorians who live in the belief that it won't happen, then they are delusional. If they, like many, believe government works for the people, then they are ignorant and mistaken. Politics in Australia has diminished into a place where the misfits and frauds and the criminals and tyrants harbour. The time has come for Victorians and Australians to continue to voice in protest what is being enacted on every fair-minded, honest, hard-working person. Come next election, Victorians must work collectively together to oust Andrews, Labor, the likes of Barton and Patten out of office. As the huge crowd of Victorians who attended last week's protest chanted in unison, "Sack Dan Andrews and kill the bill." Victorians must work towards making that a reality and reclaim their freedoms.